Thing.
Yeah, in Sharm el Sheikh, yeah?
Yeah. So looking forward to meeting you in person.
I don't know I'll be there, but
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Morning, Human.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Krishna. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. How is UK treating you?
Very well. It's a lovely weather outside, so
It's apple season,
complain.
no?
Hi, Leila.
Hi, Human.
Saw you.
Good afternoon. Hi, Panta.
Hi, how are you?
Morning, Panta.
Hi,
Good to see you.
good to see you too.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, yes, that's right. We don't always keep up with the movement of the sun and earth, you know?
Sorry,
Do we-
I was not able to hear you. It was
Do we wait for a few minutes? It's what 8:59. So maybe I don't know. We can wait for a few minutes before we start. What do you think? Morning, Reza. Wonderful scenery behind you.
Ozan,
Hello, everyone.
What are the trees behind you?
So we're
It's part-
people trickling in.
Yeah, it's part of nature. It's almost end of summer. We enjoy the weather.
Great.
Hello, Pam. Good to see you.
Good morning. I have weird lighting this morning for some reason.
Pam, I think you have an echo. Do you have two opened?
Morning, Vaishali.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Ozan, how many are we now?
We have 19 in the meeting right now. We could wait a minute or so.
Yeah, if that's okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Morning, Fazile.
Good morning, Krishnan. How are you?
Fine, I'm okay. Morning, Pam. Morning, Veronica.
Good morning.
Are you in Mexico City or where are you?
Where are in Coahuila, Mexico?
Guadalajara.
No, Coahuila, near Monterrey.
Okay, Monterrey. Oh, lovely. Lovely. So
Yes.
years ago, we had a meeting on of developing countries in Monterrey.
Oh, excellent. Well,
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
Good to see you. Yeah. Good to see you. I see some interesting picture behind you.
Yes, it's from Cambodia.
Yes, Angkor Wat, yeah?
Yes. Was there 7 years ago?
I see.
Then
So
recently-
nature takes over.
It does, really.
If everyone could open their cameras, we could take a group photograph.
Okay. Let me see. Yes.
Okay. Smile, everyone. Perfect.
Okay.
If you like, we can begin, Krishna.
Okay. Kim, is Gabriel coming or?
He is in another meeting. So I will
All
be
right,
the one
okay.
from us.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You represent the collaboration. Excellent, excellent. Good morning or good afternoon, good evening, everybody, for this second roundtable on kids awareness on urban SDGs. Yeah, as you know, we had the first roundtable earlier this year, and so this is to sort of solidify our programming of the urban SDGs and children. Well, for one thing, you know, my name is Ananta Krishnan. I'm the Secretary General of Urban Economy Forum, and I'm happy to be acting as the host for this meeting to my best of my ability. Yes. So, well, for one thing, the fundamental notion of sustainable city life is one of the 17 goals of sustainable development, as you know. And the goal 11, especially, recognizes the important role of cities in addressing global challenges with the need to make cities and human settlements sustainable. So, I mean, as you know, UN Habitat is the agency of the United Nations that is given the responsibility of implementing, monitoring, and supporting cities in achieving the Sustainable Development Goal number 11 on cities. Yeah. So, in that regard, I think architects, like any other profession, have a major role to play when it comes to how the sustainable city can indeed be achieved, sustainable development goals, and to promote peace, development, and prosperity. So it is important to understand that early in life, the significance of how and why architecture and design are created and history behind the institutions. Yeah. So as that's why I think we are focusing on children and young people. They need to learn regard architecture and design as a natural part of their daily lives. So in that connection, of course, even International Union of Architecture has created a program for young people. So as United Nations Educational and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. To support the development of the program, Urban Economy Forum, that is, which is a non-governmental organization, international organization based in Canada, is partnering with Archie Kids within the context of the World Urban Pavilion. The World Urban Pavilion is a collaborative initiative of Urban Economy Forum with UN Habitat and the Canada Housing and Mortgage Association, that is the CMHC, which is a Canadian governmental agency, which is actually being funded by, or in a way, supported by Daniels Corporation, which is a private sector organization. The pavilion, as I said, is a collaborative initiative that was initiated this year in April, and one of the main programs of the pavilion is to make Canada a front runner in sustainable urbanization, sustainable cities. And part of the programming is kids awareness of the urban SDG. So kids awareness of a SDG program, it is hoping to create a new model to involve, educate, and engage children that emphasizes the importance of global cohesion and collaboration. That at heart is building awareness, to start conversations with children and the young people, educate them about the contemporary situation of SDGs, and learn from them as well, and how they can contribute to the global agenda. So we had a first, what shall I say, the roundtable in February this year. The second roundtable to build further this. This program is being implemented especially in collaboration with ArchiKid, which actually is tasked with the secretariat for this program, working closely with the Urban Economy Forum, which has a agreement of a letter of intent already being signed in implementing this, which Rizal will come back to it later. So with not much of further explanation, we are excited here today to have a number of participants who will be speaking, including from the co-chair of Urban Economy Forum, Reza Purwaziri. We talked about, architects have a major role to play, and the architects are ambassadors in many ways for SDGs. Reza Purwaziri himself has been ambassador for UN Habitat, the first ever global ambassador for UN Habitat. And he has been the visionary behind the creation of the Urban Economy Forum and World Urban Pavilion. So we would like to hear from him, his views and vision for how do we go further on kids awareness and SDGs program. Reza Purwaziri, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Krishnan. Hello, everyone. Happy to see all of you here. Krishnan explained about the World Urban Pavilion in Regent Park, powered by Daniel. We are working closely with Ministry of Housing. Minister Ahmed Hossain is honorary chair of the pavilion, and also CMHC, Canadian Housing Mortgage Corporation, and UN Habitat. We established Pavilion. We recently launched Pavilion on April 21. One of the key programs for the Pavilion is Canada Frontrunner of Urban SDGs. And in Canada Frontrunner of Urban SDG, we try to bring together different best practices from Canadian context regarding SDG goals number 11 and interaction with the other SDGs. In Canada Frontrunner, we are talking about urban lifestyle, and we believe in the process of realizing SDG Sustainable Development Goals, we need to create kind of dialogue with the families, with the entire people, and we believe kids have a great and important role in this regard. When we are talking about kids, we are talking about our future, and it's extremely important. That's why we created the Kids Awareness on Urban SDGs and try to create kind of platform for interaction, more interaction, explanation about the world challenges with the people, with the kids and youth people, and try to bring different idea and creativity regarding concept of awareness that we believe it's really, really important. I'm happy to say recently our co-academic partner, Harvard University, provide very great platform of virtual pavilion. It's great structure to involve different organizations to share their practices with the world. We try in Kids Awareness to bring different project program together. It's international program. We started from Canada. We are happy to announce Kids Awareness program led by ArchiKids, our great colleague that we had very great collaboration so far. And we hope to see all of you in this program. Pavilion is yours. Please bring your activities, not only from Canada, from around the world, and share your idea with the global audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reza. As Reza said, the pavilion is yours. Even though the secretary is based in Toronto, we're looking forward to having your ideas and suggestions and inputs to make the partnership stronger. And now we have Jesse Dennison. He is with the Bayview Glen Independent School as the head of the lower school and preschool. He's a fervent advocate and change catalyst for education, focusing on building strong and caring community by connecting ideas and action. He believes in demonstrating participative and supportive instructional style and a collaborative approach. He's also won many. He has also many hats. For example, at the Olympia Sports Camp over the past decades, including the Director of Programming and Interim Associate Director. Olympia Sports Camp is one of Canada's largest overnight sports camp with hundreds of overnight campers and very large coaching counselor staffs. So he's actively involved with children and young people, both at work and day-to-day life. So we would like to hear from you, as we already have a collaborative initiative with you and your school, Jesse Dennison. The floor is yours.
Thank you for that. You know, I was just up at Olympia last week. It was a beautiful place to spend some of the summer in Canada. Thank you for inviting us here again. We at Bayview Glen as a school believe in a whole child, whole life, whole world mission, and that especially being situated in the urban environment in Toronto, thinking about SDG 11 and the SDGs in general are things that are hugely important for us as a school to inspire our students to be thinking about the ideas, the real world problems and real world solutions. We try and equip our students not just to be problem solvers, but to be problem seekers at our school. And I think that this initiative and these different initiatives that have been spoken about, the World Urban Pavilion and such, not only are this room filled with a bunch of problem solvers, but good problem seekers. And so that is something that we are very proud to help inspire the architects of ideas for tomorrow, right? So our students being that, and any way that we can help, we are glad to be at the table. Because this is very important, and this is where students need to be thinking and learning about. I appreciate it. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to hand over to someone at this time.
Thank you, Jesse.
Your mic is off.
Sorry, my mic is off. Sorry, I'm very sorry. I just want to thank you once again. So thank you once again, Jesse, for your kind words about inspiring this young generation to be prepared for implementing sustainable development goals, and not the least, understanding the role of architecture in sustainable development. The next in line is Laila Sadri, who is the Executive Director of ArchiKid and Coordinator of Kids Awareness and Urban SDGs in the Pavilion. As a matter of fact, Laila Sadri is actually the real person behind the whole idea of this program to start with. The initial discussions and conversations with Laila indeed, made us by her idea of how do we implement a program focusing on children and young people and linking up with architecture. Because she's an architect herself, obtained her architect's degree in master's degree from Iran. From 2017, she joined the ArchiKid World team, and they started to promote workshops for kids in Canada. As professional designers and educators, she explores the built environment design as a playground for interconnected knowledge. And as I said earlier in the meeting, that we had a first roundtable. Before we proceed with the second roundtable, that this one, we would like to hear from you, Laila, the outcome of the first roundtable, and how do you follow up now that you are the secretariat for this program itself. Laila, please, your floor is yours.
Thank you, Krishnan. Hello, everyone, and greeting from Toronto, Canada. I'm pleased here to talk about our initiative of Kids Awareness on Urban SDG program, and a quick overview on the first roundtable that we had in February 10th, 2022. The Kids Awareness on Urban SDG program actually is an initiative by ArchiKid, which is an educational and research platform founded by Panta Islami 6 years ago. Panta is here, and our other partner, Human, also after me will go through the program and the action that we are planning here. And we actually had this initiative to offer to World Urban Pavilion in Regent Park, powered by Daniels, and as we call it, the Pavilion, which is a global knowledge exchange hub to share best practices pertaining to sustainable urban development. This program was actually, the pavilion has been officially launched on April 21st. And since then, we have been working with our partners there to establish the Kids Awareness on Urban SDG. Currently, as Reza and Krishnan said, we are in the process of creating a secretariat, and the second roundtable today is organized to call for an international collaboration from other organizations that work to improve the lives of children and youth. So a roundtable session was held in partnership with Urban Economy Forum, ArchiKid, and World Urban Campaign on February 10th, 2020, before the launch of the pavilion. And actually, the aim was to introduce this Kids Awareness on Urban SDG program or initiative. Okay, this partnership aims to build a global community to explore opportunities and share knowledge and innovations for educating children and youth, and raise awareness among the Sustainable Development Goals with the emphasis on urban SDG. The subject of the first roundtable was the Kids Awareness Initiative, Kids Awareness on Urban SDG program. And this session provided a catalyst for discussion with colleagues about the common area of work and intellectual issues, indicating the importance of more specialized roundtable in our planning for the future, which also became a main tool for us to develop this program. We felt there that our other colleagues became aware of some capacity in this Kids Awareness on Urban SDG programs and the pavilion. And so we look forward working closely with other professionals in this direction. It was interesting to see what other experts focused on at this context and what they did, because their concerns are not always the same as ours, but it always reveals more new perspectives to enrich our program. And the roundtable analysis sessions helped us reduce the potential for bias and helped us realize the richness of the data from other experiences. We had about 30 speakers in various fields with diverse expertise, such as policymakers, children's rights and human rights, education planners, urban and environmental activists, youth and kids executive programs, program planners, youth advocate, First Nation and Indigenous advocates, artists, entrepreneurs, whose remarks were printed in a report that was shared after that session, and we put it later on Pavilion's website. During and after first session, we received many important and basic questions from speakers that determined part of our path. Questions such as how can this program connect with schools, how can it build with already existing teacher SDG networks and international SDG cities network, How can this program collaborate with other existing SDG awareness campaigns? Should there also be a kid youth consultation and advisory group to reach kids? Could there be another launch event in the future at the pavilion? What are the expected outputs for this program, and how will we achieve these goals? And I also want to draw your attention to some highlights and remarks mentioned from the speakers of the first roundtable. The importance of collaboration and not competition within the SDGs, and the involvement of children internationally, importance of having a youth advisory and youth-led groups. No matter the age or social background, all kids should be part of the SDGs, trying to create a sustainable world for children in creative ways to reach more marginalized groups. To bring governments, institutions to be part of supporting urban SDGs plan and programs, hearing the children's voice in what they want to see within their environment, and respecting the children's right and the voice of the child, referring to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. Using STEAM instead of STEM, and using arts as well as science, technology, engineering, and math to engage children in part of their learning. And in some cases, the children could be engaged in developing their own built environment. Urban spaces are not created by business people or architecture, but rather by people and children. Importance of noticing global citizenship education, learning from each other's faith and connected spiritually, and how to live together in the spaces we share, raising awareness about climate change for children and its impact on cities, working with indigenous youth people and to understand their urban settings, considering public space as a very critical part of young people development and the community, the importance of storytelling and its power. And one of my favorites is sustainable living. It's a must-have, not a nice-to-have, from Victoria Thornton from London, UK. You also could find the recording and the report of the session within our invitation email and through Pavilion's online platform. Before my colleague Human, who is the academic director of Arkiki, talks about the core plan and actions for this program, I would like to add again this note that today is the second session, and it has been 3 months since the pavilion is launched. The roundtable today is called Call for Collaboration, and the pavilion welcome all international youth and children organizations to collaborate on kids awareness on urban SDG programs. And thank you.
Thank you, Laila, for your remark to sum up the first roundtable, where you also mentioned that urban spaces are created by children and people, not necessarily by builders or people with power. So it's people who create cities, people who live in cities. In that, that's why I think Archikids comes at the right time to put the creativity into action by engaging young people. So now that we have your colleague, Human Talebi, he's the academic and creative director for Arkikid. And of course, needless to say, he's an architect and researcher who has been actively involved in academia for more than 10 years. He has degrees from Iran, from the UK, and he's well known for architectural urban designs and particular expertise in computational design and fabrication using a computational methodology. After receiving a master's degree, he also moved to London, as I said, and now he's at the Kent School of Architecture. And we are indeed nice to have him here, not only as part of the program, also part of this meeting here we are looking forward to hearing your words, Houman Talebi.
Thank you very much, Krishnan. Hello to everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here today again. I want to thank everyone to continue supporting us. Yes, my name is Houman Talebi, and I'm creative and academic director of ArchiKid, also one of the leading members of Kids Awareness Program, which is part of the World Urban Pavilion. So today I will try to explain the core plan and framework of our planning that we have been developing in the last couple of months. And no need to say it's still a work in progress. So we are open for suggestion and ideas. So my talk is going to be a little slightly longer. I hope I don't bore you. I try to visualize our thoughts. I believe it will help us to communicate better. So I'm going to share my screen and continue my talk. So I think I picked the wrong screen. Sorry. Here we go. Share. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Houman.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, as was explained before by Reza, and as you probably know, the World Urban Pavilion in Regent Park. Close my camera and go back to. Yes, the World Urban Pavilion in Regent Park is a knowledge exchange hub to share best practices, innovation, and research in urban development and revitalization from countries around the world. Through the establishment period of the pavilion, there were 10 programs that were established as the main areas of focus of the World Urban Pavilion. One of which is Canada Frontrunner of Urban SDG, which is a program that will work with Canadian provincial governments, cities, universities, private sector, civil society, and Canadians on achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. So our program, Kids Awareness Program, sits within the above-mentioned Canada Frontrunner of Urban SDG. By definition, our program, the Kids Awareness Program and Urban SDGs program, is a collaborative initiative between the Urban Economy Forum and ArchiKid that is focused on raising awareness amongst children about the SDGs and what they can do to contribute. The program emphasizes on the value of collaboration and long-term outlook of our connected futures. So once we start thinking about the program and considering that this program is going to be planned for an 8-year period with some immense impact on the future citizens of Canada or Toronto, and hopefully with other collaboration from around the globe, we started thinking about that we probably need to think about what's happening not only until 2030, but since we're going to establish a hub, an institute with lots of capabilities, perhaps we should think about going beyond that. So in our vision for World Kids Awareness Program is to create a platform for a connected community where our active future citizens are equipped with the knowledge, experience, and belief that helps them to make the world a better and more sustainable place to live in for 2020, 30, and beyond. So in what we're doing, there are 3 key principles that no matter what we do, all our activities are going to sit within this framework. The three key principles are, first of all, we believe in a participatory approach. So it's, as mentioned before, it's not really for kids what we are doing, but it will be by kids. I mean, so all our plans, and this is based on what we have done before with ArchiKids in the last 6-7 years, we try to get kids involved in all the process from imagining to planning and building. And hopefully in our next meeting, in our next roundtable, we will have some participants, some kids as part of this roundtable. The other main principle for us is to do things in an integrated way to create more synergy and new possibilities. Again, in ArchiKids, perhaps based on the nature of architecture, which is a discipline that we all grew in, we constantly create this connection between disciplines. And here we're going to try to do the same thing, constantly create new links between different programs, different sectors to create new possibilities. And the most important thing for us is our approach is and will be project-based. So it's for us, it's essential to let kids to create things, to build things, to experience their impact. So what we are going to do in the next couple of years is to initiate projects that enables kids to participate, to build things, to build tangible things with real impact. And with real impact on their cities. And we believe by doing so, we give the confidence to kids to believe that they can have impact, and hopefully in the future, with that belief, they will have a stronger role in changing their built environment and cities into a better place for living. These are some examples of what we have done before in the last, this is quite recent, a couple of months ago. This is a workshop that we did in Kenya, where the whole process was developed by kids. So we asked them to imagine. So the project, the method of learning was project-based learning, which allowed kids to make decisions, to have impact. These are some examples of some other colleagues, Matt and Fiona in the UK, another good example of projects that they are done, imagined by kids. Kids are part of the process. And of course, once you're part of the process, you start believing in yourself. And we believe that's a very important part of what we're going to do. So our activities is going to be mainly focused on 5 key areas: raising awareness, connecting and exchanging knowledge, educating kids, promoting and supporting anything that is related to kids' awareness towards SDG issues, and also creating a platform to discuss and perhaps work on guidelines. So these 5 areas, of course, they're going to be expanded. They're going to be many aspects of each that will be explored in the future, like under education. We're certainly going to work on learning tools. We're going to work on training educators. And we're also thinking about developing some self-learning packages and new curriculum that address different aspects of urban SDG. And these are some of the examples of related examples of what I've been talking about. The one key point here is that I want to talk about is how we see our role here as a group that sits in the center and the middle of Kids Awareness Program and tries to make sense of different activities, different plans that are happening. So in that regard, we saw ourselves as a catalyst, as a group that tries to blend, interweave all the concepts that are on the table, and by connecting all these ideas, create new possibilities for further initiative programs. So what I was talking about our integrated approach, it also applies to the relationship between Kids Awareness Program with the rest of the programs of the World Urban Pavilion. So as I mentioned earlier, there are 10 programs within the World Urban Pavilion, and we try to make new connections, try to seek for possibilities of new collaborations constantly, and to talk about, so at the moment we have a particular space that is allocated for World Urban Pavilion. I believe the space is going to expand in the future. So the way we see, or the physical space or virtual space that we see that we're going to implement our ideas, firstly, we are thinking about the World Urban Pavilion space, the existing space. Also, there are some talks about extending the space and adding an open area space as a park to what we are doing. So these are some examples that shows how we envision the kind of projects that can happen in these spaces. And another important thing to mention is that at the moment in our planning, we are thinking that we should make sure kids get engaged with cities. So we use the city also as a classroom. We are planning some tours that allows kids to know the city better, know the projects better. There are some really interesting projects in Toronto, some really interesting affordable housing projects, some really interesting urban projects. So we are going to use these spaces as classrooms and take kids to visit the sites and do some activities and build things on the site. And another idea at the moment is to start another initiative program, which we call them pop-up stations, which are basically a portal for us to connect what's happening in the hub, in the World Urban Pavilion physical space, and connected to different local communities and neighborhoods. So these pop-up stations allows us to act more locally, connect with local communities, and let them be connected to what's happening in the pavilion. So these are some other examples of projects that can kind of show the direction we have in mind. These projects, these pop-up stations, can themselves be like an example of a sustainable approach to design. Of course, some of these are quite sophisticated, some not. But what we have in mind is to use these stations to connect ourselves to local communities, to use it as a display to show what we are doing. And maybe in the future, we can bring all these ideas and demonstrate them on the park that will be allocated close to the pavilion. So at the moment we are talking about focusing on the 7 main goals of SDG 11. We believe these 7 goals will give us an interesting intellectual framework that can allow us to focus on different topics that are related to sustainable cities agenda. So the 7 topics are placed here. So our idea is to use these 7 topics and focus on each and initiate a series of events based on each of these themes. So hopefully in the not very far future, we are gonna print and distribute our calendar of series of roundtables that are going to be focused around each of these topics, and each of these roundtables are going to be a starting point of a series of other events that are going to be extracted from these topics in these roundtables. I guess that's all I have for today, and we are very excited to hear your thoughts and suggestions for any future collaboration. Thank you very much. And
thank you. Thank you, Human Talebi, for a very, very detailed and clear explanation as to the program structure and what we want to achieve. So one of the things that comes to my mind that you said, which is very, very important, is we should make sure that for the next roundtable onwards, we need to have children and youth participating in these kind of discussions. It's only a question of, we are not speaking just for children. That's we need to be part of that conversation, where we don't need to be seen as kind of imposing ideas to the next generation as to what we think. Thanks again for the how to integrate the 10 programs of the pavilion and the possibility for new collaboration. And so for those who have joined us a bit later, just say that we had the introductory remarks by Reza Pourvaziri, Chair of the Urban Economy Forum, Jesse Dennison from the Royal School, Bayview School. Then we had also the introduction of the program, Arki Kids program by Albanese by Elaila Sadri, and the last one was Human Talebi, who explained the details as to where do we go from here. So now that we will have 7 speakers who will address the issue of how do they hope they can contribute to the program of Arki Kids and urban kids awareness on urban SDGs, the work that they do at the moment, how it can be integrated into a collaborative effort into the program that we are designing for the World Urban Pavilion along with Arki Kids. So first among the speakers would be Matthew Norris, who is the president of the Urban Native Youth Association. He's a member of the Lac La Ronge Indian brand in the northern Saskatchewan. He's also president of the Urban Native Youth Association and a doctoral student at the University of British Columbia, studying at the implementation of UNDRIP and other international indigenous rights frameworks. So Matthew has been previously an Indigenous Peoples representative of the UN Permanent Forum, as you know, on indigenous issues, sits on the British Columbia Climate Action Secretariat, and also the Indigenous Climate Action Working Group, and the University of British Columbia's Indigenous Peoples Expert Advisory Committee and the Steering Committee of the British Columbia Office of the Canadian Centre. So may I then now kindly request Matthew Norris to provide his contribution to this conversation that we are having on kids awareness on urban SDGs. And Matthew Norris, the floor is yours.
Tanse, hello everyone. Matthew Norris, Nita Nisitigo Sanlactaranj Otsinita. Hello everyone. My name is Matthew Norris. I'm a member of the Lactaran First Nation. Thank you for the kind introduction. I won't have to introduce myself again. It's traditional in our culture to kind of introduce ourselves, to position ourselves within the work, within our community, and within our families. So I really appreciate that. I think I was lucky enough to join the kind of first round of the pavilion, and talked primarily around the need, when we're talking about the future of our cities and our urban landscapes, the need to also take into account the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples as we move forward. As we know, a lot of countries with indigenous populations with them and are seeing disproportionate impacts from colonialism that fall on indigenous communities, and particularly indigenous youth, indigenous elders, and indigenous women. I was pretty excited last time to kind of share with you a potential project that Anya was working on. So as the president of the Urban Native Youth Association, we're an urban-based youth-centric organization that provides a variety of cultural significant resources and programming to Vancouver's Indigenous youth, be those housing programs, be it shelter programs, be it mental health supports, substance use, or even like cultural training and sports and rec programs and arts and culture programs. Anya provides a variety of programs to youth, particularly targeting the gaps in our public institutions that a lot of Indigenous youth fall through. So you all may be aware that the kind of shameful statistics that we've seen, that a lot of our Indigenous representatives and our Indigenous governmental organizations bring to the UN, talking about the kind of disproportionate low rates of or overrepresentation of Indigenous youth, particularly in the homeless population, and a lack of access to education, and so on and so forth. And so Anya's role has been trying to fill those gaps within our public institution by meeting youth where their needs are at, and through cultural sensitive training. So kind of my intention last presentation was to kind of talk about the real kind of potential that partnerships with Indigenous communities and Indigenous youth-centric organizations can have in creating urban landscapes that work for all communities, creating kind of diverse, welcoming, supportive communities within an urban landscape, and the critical need to look at Indigenous-specific programming. Today, I wanted to kind of update that presentation to show what the potential of those kind of partnerships could look like. So back in May, Anya was very excited to announce a partnership between Anya NBIT, which is an Indigenous post-secondary institution in British Columbia, and the province of British Columbia, and the city of Vancouver in changing the urban landscape in the city to be more welcoming to Indigenous youth, and to really center the Indigenous experience within a Keystone community within our city. And so we launched, we're in the kind of second phase of developing a business plan now with municipal and provincial support to create an Indigenous youth center alongside with 2 towers of affordable housing, which will be targeted at youth, their families, and Indigenous students to access affordable housing. It'll be an Indigenous podium building with Indigenous youth-centric programming, as well as an Indigenous post-secondary institution that will have opportunities for learners and for Indigenous youth and students to meet each other and to grow connections and to grow networks and to access services no matter where they're at in their personal journeys. So this introduction has taken longer than I thought it would, but this was supposed to be segue into a short video I wanted to show everyone. If it's still possible, I would need permission to share my screen to share. it's an exciting opportunity. So I wanted to show you the video of the building in kind of an early design with folks taking on kind of urban-centric architecture or indigenous-centric architecture within the city to make visible the indigenous experience within a city where indigenous peoples have either been tokenized in historical processes or have been made invisible within the city. So just the visuals of seeing this building and a youth-centric space that's kind of the first of its kind is important. And I very much look forward to kind of sharing that with you. But I also wanted to talk about how that building came about. So ANYA centers youth voices in all the work that we do. We go through great lengths and are quite proud of how youth involvement and engagement has been a central principle of how we do work in our organization. And it's what allows us to create these amazing projects and these programs that really speak to the need of youth and represent their interests. So as an example, within this specific project, ANYA has done a lot of youth engagement workshops where we've met with our youth in a variety of programs to discuss what their specific needs are in the city, what they would need in a youth center, what they would need in safety provisions, how they would integrate with adult learners within a post-secondary institution, what their access needs would be for the affordable housing towers within the building. And that results in kind of unique design considerations within the built space. So it talks about a shared atrium where youth accessing a cultural program or a safety program or a mental health program would be able to interact with Indigenous people at different parts on their journeys who may be accessing post-secondary institutions or maybe attending a community festival or a feast within the hall. And those kind of interactions lead to kind of upward mobility and building networks. And so that was a central consideration, but also creating kind of youth-centric spaces within the envelope of the building to ensure that youth see themselves in the building and are welcomed in that space, that the space doesn't become an adult-centric space, because we know that building trust with youth has been a long process within our organization, and that's something that needed to be maintained. So that's been central to developing not only the look of the building, but the use of the building. ANYA takes these principles even further by incorporating youth engagement and youth governance within our governance structure. So we have dedicated youth positions on our board. We have adopted a consensus governance model where youth are able to activate their own power and their own jurisdiction within our governance framework. We have youth engaged even in kind of the more technical aspects of our board when we go through a CEO hiring process. We have youth on our interview committees. They're in our engagement programs, developing the strategic plan of the organization, pushing the organization where they want to go and engaging with their fellow youth to do so. So I think maybe I can leave my presentation there. That's where I was hoping to update the presentation from last time to show what can be accomplished when you take Indigenous youth voices as participants within the project and as partners within the project. And I'm excited to share that update with you all.
Thank you so much, Matthew. And maybe if time permits, we could show you a video to the end of the meeting. As the question of time permits, that's a major issue now. It's because I do really hope that the speakers could confine themselves to 5 minutes each, in order so that we may have some time for discussion and summing up indeed. Thank you very much. So now, may I then request Christine Wakta, who is based now currently in the UK, and he's African-born French architect who holds a license of architecture. She's also from the University of Sorbonne with a Master of Architecture. And she has worked in the US. Now she's the assistant professor at the School of Human Ecology, Curriculum Development, and Faculty Leadership. And as you know, she's well known as a speaker influencer. 16 years of experience in teaching architecture and urban design. And so using modern technology, the geospatially enabled urban and applied computational design curriculum. That's one of my specialties. May I request Christine Wachter to kindly make her remarks, and we'll be grateful if you can provide 5 minutes of your remarks, please. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Christine. Looks like Christine is not with us right now.
I just saw her now. Was she? Okay.
Me too. I saw her.
Yeah. All right.
While
Then.
ago, but...
So which means anyway. So I don't need to do the introduction once again when she's back on the scene. And then may I then request Taylor Morton, who is a program officer with Equitas. She has been engaged with the issues of international human rights education, and she has the experience of working as a youth worker and supporting program in Canada, and previously worked at the school district as a part of the community school partnership team. So it'll be interesting to hear from Taylor Morton as to how she hopes to link up the whole quest of working with youth and children human rights in the context of urban design, urbanization, and ArchiKids program. Please, Taylor Morton.
Hello, thank you so much. I don't want to throw anyone off, but I do see that someone was hoping to present ahead of schedule just because they had to leave. I see in the chat Kim would like to present. So I just want to.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know. Thank you for bringing me to attention. So may I then? Who is who will has less time, who wants to leave early then? I haven't seen anybody on the chat. Ozan, do you know?
It's Kim Layen.
Kim. Oh, from Nordic Neurotech.
Yes.
Yeah. So Kim, do you think you want to take your space before the others?
You can present now, and then I can take the next. If I could take the next, that would be amazing.
Okay, that's fine. So let us hear from Taylor first, then you next. Yeah. Is it okay?
Perfect.
Thanks again. Thanks again. Please, Taylor Morton.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm calling in from the shared territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, otherwise known as Vancouver, BC, which is in Canada. My name is Taylor. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm representing Equitas today. So Equitas is the largest international human rights education center in Canada. We work to advance equality, social justice, and respect for human dignity through transformative human rights education programs in Canada and around the world. We have over 55 years of experience working with and for partners by developing and delivering human rights education that is truly transformative for individuals who are leading social change in their organizations and their communities, again, in Canada and around the world. But in Canada, that's the team I work with. We focus primarily on building the capacity of child and youth serving organizations to implement a child rights-based approach in the programs and services that they offer, as well as build their capacity to authentically engage youth on issues that matter to them. And we do this in one way through the implementation of community action projects. So these projects give young people the opportunity to identify human rights issues that are affecting their everyday lives and also come up with their own solutions for change. So it's really youth-led and youth-driven. They are young people are experts in their own lives, and an important part of the project process is looking at how to change the way that decision makers take into account the voices of young people when they make decisions. In the Canadian context, we define decision makers as basically any adult who makes decisions that affect the lives of young people, which could be politicians or allies or just general community members, teachers, parents, you name it. The unfortunate reality is that many decision makers do not authentically take into account the opinions and ideas of young people when they're making decisions, as I'm sure lots of us are aware. At Equitas, we strive to break down barriers between adults with decision-making authority and young people. We firmly believe in the power of youth to positively contribute to the creation of more sustainable communities. So We do this in part through dialogue, so giving youth a platform to share their views on human rights issues and to share their solutions for change with decision makers. So bringing adults and young people together. The young people that we engage with through our partnerships are facing racism and discrimination in their day-to-day life, as well as systemic and persistent discrimination in accessing things like housing, jobs, and other crucial services that help them thrive and grow in our society. One thing that I wanted to share today, which I'm not going to share my screen, but I'll share the link to after, is just, in addition to creating these spaces for dialogue, we recently developed an interactive workbook called Youth at the Heart of Change, How to Engage Local Decision Makers Using Global Goals. So the workbook serves as a tool for young people to create their own strategy for engaging decision makers on the issues that matter to them by connecting the issues and solutions that they've identified through their projects with sustainable development goals. So in deciding, as Equitas, in deciding how we wanted to approach SDG education, we really prioritize the needs of our partners and the young people that they work with. They're very used to the language that Equitas uses and the ways of our ways of working. And so we wanted to incorporate the SDGs into our existing world. Rather than creating sort of a separate SDG tool, we decided to really fold it into our existing content related to engaging decision makers. There are countless decision makers working tirelessly to advance SDGs in Canada, and we feel that educating young people to use SDG language is a crucial communication tool for them to highlight issues in their communities and help them connect to local, national, and even global advocacy initiatives. So again, the goal was to really embed the SDG language in a simple and accessible way and to highlight the interconnectedness with human rights. So our partners did not feel overwhelmed by, a lot of this bigger language that sometimes can feel a bit far removed from their local experience. So the workbook's available in French and English at the moment and can be accessed for free on our resource database. So I'll share the link to that. In addition to this resource, we have tons of other really cool resources that you might be interested in. And just for the sake of time, there's just one other quick thing I wanted to mention, just another project of interest that I sort of thought of as others were talking. We've developed a children's charter process. So there's multiple cities in British Columbia that have used our tools to consult children on what is most important to them in their communities, which include things like publicly accessible spaces, such as parks and libraries, access to food, access to caring adults, etc. So this process results in the creation of a localized charter of rights that community stakeholders can take into account when making decisions related to children and youth. And one example of how this is used, our partners at the City of Toronto, they used the Children's Charter Guide to consult children in the design of a new community center and what those children wanted to feel welcome and included in that physical space. So we're really excited to be here today. I came in February as well, so we really look forward to collaborating further with others. And I'll put that link in the chat. And if anyone has any questions, maybe I'll just open it up quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor, for your very important comments, especially mentioning about the workbook as well as the children's charter process, which I think is quite important. Eventually, you see the points for linking it up with the Urban SDG Youth and Kids program. So I hope that you'll have enough time for discussions, and hope you'll have time to stay around for the discussion round at the end of the presentations. So may I then request now Kim Lien, who is the Chief Executive Officer, founder of Nordic Neurotech AS. And Nordic Neurotech is a partner organization with Urban Economy Forum, UN Habitat, and Svale to set up possibly a center, a pavilion in Oslo, in Norway. And it Nordic Neurotech specializes in software development and content creation for virtual reality. Kim's team produces high quality virtual reality 360 content and develops research projects in-house that empowers the brain through targeted brain training in virtual reality. So the Nordic Neurotech is hoping to make the ultimate tool for mental health domain that will empower people globally. So he's also part of what is called as the Oslo Science City program as well in Norway. So eagerly waiting to hear from you, Kim, even though we have been working together since the World Urban Forum in Katowice not so long ago. The floor is yours, Kim.
Thank you so much, Krishnan. Hi, everyone. I want to thank Reza and Ozan for inviting me to this roundtable to share some of the work that we have done around creating awareness around the SDGs. Before a little bit around Nordic Neurotech, the company was started 5 years ago to help people with disabilities experience things that they couldn't experience from before. It's developed, so now we are making tools for psychologists in hospitals and in prisons to help as tools to better mental health, and also working with disabilities, creating new tools for them to have better quality of life, and also building a science lab where we also are doing science between different universities in Norway, in the world, together with the government, together with prisons and hospitals and user organizations, so we can harvest and share information across all silos, so we can make the best possible solution with all the perspective that is needed to make the best solutions affordable and scalable, so we can help as many as possible and do as big impact as possible. That's a little around Nordic Neurotech. A project we were doing 3 years ago around together with a student organization, DGF, and a local bank. We wanted to help do impact and help kids get a better awareness of the SDGs. So we wanted to make it creative, we wanted to make it interactive, fun, scalable, and easy to use for the teachers that will use this in classes, but it also make it easy so they can share it to other classes and other schools, so you can reuse a lot of the equipment, and also creating discussions and workshops so the kids can really go through and make a more fun and interactive way of playing around how they can do an impact and how they can understand the SDGs and what how they as a person can be a part of making the world better, but also how it is and the power of doing it together. So all the small things. So what we did was that we to talk around how the experiences was. This was in VR. This was a standalone headset, so you take on the headset and you can't really move around in the room, but you can be just in the headset. So the experience is where you start in space. So you have the stars over and you see the Earth, and then you see the different SDGs coming up from the Earth, and then you get the introduction of the SDGs and why they are important. So getting the overview of them, and then giving a small history of how the world have developed, and then coming down and zoom down and being on the street. Here we use 360 cameras. So we film a young guy walking towards the camera, where he speaks about that he feels a little bit helpless of he's just this small person in the world, and how can he be a part of making this change? And then he speaks for 2 minutes, and then you come into his apartment, where he comes into the apartment, sit down, open his computer, where it's a teacher is there together with two students. They are in a digital meeting like this, and then they had got homework to pick one of the SDGs. So then they pick one of the SDGs that they are want to work more on, and then they're taking through like a 2D content around that special SDG, and then they get like, okay, how can they see it from what the impact is in overall, and how it's been going through the years of if it becomes better, and then what you really can do on a personal level to help with that SDG. And that we have on the different SDGs, but we also is getting an overview on all the SDGs after this homework is done. Then you also get an understanding of how much you can save of plastic, of just not using or buying anything with plastic in a week, or also the different kind of how the world have developed in where it's going fast and where it's going slow, and what is the different challenges. But also then you have to pick something in the end that you will do for a week to be a part of helping with the SDGs. So this is a 15-minute that they go through in VR, and all the students they're doing it 5 and 5, so they do it in groups, and then they have discussions afterwards. And then we tested this on 5 schools in Oslo, in classes between 20 and 30 students, and the feedback was really, really good. So we have a solution, but we didn't go further with it because we needed to survive as a company. So we didn't find a sustainable solution around to scale the solution. But we were talking about it the other day with Teresa and Ozan, and they asked me if I could share it here. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Kim. It's a pity that you will virtually be away after this. You have to go somewhere else, you said, yeah? So we won't be here for the discussion. And may I thank you for emphasizing the fact that we have to look at all the SDGs together. They are sort of inseparable, even though we can focus on SDGs as we need. For example, SDG 11 and SDG 3. So now I think we have Dr. Christina Wakta with us now, and I have made an introduction about her earlier. So may I then request Christine to make a presentation and how she sees the Kids in Urban SDG links up with the work that she does, and how she can contribute to the collaboration with this program. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction, and I want to thank Kim so much for your presentation as well. As I'm looking or viewing what you're saying, I'm thinking, it so resonates into who I am, what I do. I'm a professor of architecture and urban design, and I have actually started a job teaching interior design, but I have been very involved with geospatial. And as soon as I look at the SDGs, it's really what I have been doing in class. I'm going to actually share a quick presentation here of who I am, what I do. And I have developed an application that I think will really contribute to this work, where we could actually put it into the hand of the kids. Because I believe that what we have done is that we have actually explored technology to the highest point, and the kid actually know how to use those technology even better than we who create them. I think that there's a time where we need to switch and have those children actually show us the way to actually allow them to push that to a whole new level. So the work that I'm going to show, or the presentation that I'm going to be sharing. I don't know if you could, I'm going to see if you could see my screen. Yes. So if you see my screen, can you see my screen? I think there's nothing on it right now, but I'm trying to get my PowerPoint. Can you see my PowerPoint presentation now?
No.
Yes.
Now, yes. Now.
Yes, you can. Okay, good. So I'm going to put it in a presentation mode. I call it La Dérive. This is really a word from a French philosopher who, in the 1960s in France, realized that we were actually using the world or using our experience. We were so focused on what we did that we forgot to live our life in the city.
I'm sorry, Doctor, I can't see your presentation. Can everyone else? Oh, here we go. All right.
Can you see?
I can see it now.
Can you see?
Thank you.
Yes,
Good, thank you. So these are the things that I deal with. I'm an educator. In the center, you see what I do is ideation, allowing the kid to actually bring their differences, looking at the data, GS data as an X-ray. If you think about medicine, that's really what we need to be changing, you know, using all of this. I think that the world is so connected, that diversity of program, of software, it's really what we use in a way that allow us to actually augment. The same happen in how we should actually live, you know, understanding that everybody is different, making sure that they understand that they are part of the big puzzle of the world. So I have created this application, which actually I have tested in many different places. It's allow every user to go out with this, with the cell phone, and be able to capture their emotion, how they feel about a space. If we're able to do this, and of course these are just categories that could be mixed match, and then at the middle of Africa it could be about the smell, you know, who is in the city. It doesn't have to be bus stop. So this allows everybody in their environment to actually be able to capture the data and how they feel about it, so that as we use this collection of data, we could understand how people are feeling. This is how the app looks into my app in my iPhone. What I have done with the app, and what I'm still developing this application, because I want to give everyone the power to be able to change. So that when they get the app phone, they must be animals in the city, or put the smell in the city based on where they are, making sure that people realize that they matter, where they live matter, and then they could start capturing everything that they need. So what it does, and this is just the space utilization, how do we capture how we many people, so that as we walk around, kids could actually use this to give us information about how they feel in an environment that we designed for them, have a voice. And this could be about the sound. How can we actually develop, you know, an application that allows us to understand a city as what it is? So these are the things that actually this application does, and it could be generated in many different ways. In the center, it's actually capture the traffic, you know, how we walk in a line, where it tells us how we are, if we're angry, happy, why. And it's also give us an ability to actually, and I'm going to be skipping onto that, to be able to go into the, you know, go into the map, see what the idea is in the map, and then the images, and then there are notes attached to it. What it does is allow us to go into a map and basically tell how we feel. And we have the whole environment, or a whole group of kids. We can start collecting those type of data and understand, or actually, you know, locate area based on how people feel and understand why they feel that way, so that we could change it. Those are infographic that are actually, usually they are interacting. I'm not going to get the interaction because it gets too long, where as I click, it shows you where I was and how I was feeling. This is just me in Paris. But I think that this application could be created in ways that we will actually be able to now not only design, but be able to see how people feel in environment that we design, and help those kids, give us information about how to better design tomorrow. Because in the end, it's not about me, the designer, designing. It's about me understanding and being in the shoes of somebody else, learning from them so that I could do a better design for them, and working so that we could create this beautiful world and have everybody understand that their puzzle matter, no matter how small it is, because my will only work if that little one is in place. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine, for you know, trying to tell us the mapping of our mind in a way, in the urban context, how actually it fits in well. I see the linkage between what the work Kim does and the work you do, the possibilities for collaboration here, I think, yeah. And we should have the conversation later. And now that we have,
Christian,
Jose
I
is
have to
here now.
inform you that Jose is here.
I know.
Okay.
So thank you for reminding me of Jose's presence. Jose Echeverri is from the university, York University here. He has been associated with the Urban SDG and Kids Urban SDG program for since its inception. He has also been instrumental in writing a report or a book relating to it and sustainability, which remains to be one of the sort of key documents in this project, as you may say. He is a passionate person working on urban sustainability, renewable energy, both in the context of the continent he comes from and where he is now in Canada, engaging students in this process. Yeah, may I then request Jose to kindly make your remarks and see how we can bring it all together in light of SDG 11 and SDGs. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to all of you. My name is Jose Echeverri. I apologize, I was a little late joining you, but we were minting a new master's in planning, and I was the chair of that final examination. I'm happy to report that the student did accomplish her degree. I also wanted to tell you a little bit about the work we're doing here in Toronto, Canada, where ArchiKids, myself, and colleagues from Urban Economic Forum and a number of non-governmental organizations and private sector companies are actually building the world's first climate solutions park. We have two locations, one in Toronto in 70 Kanak Avenue, which is in Downsview Park, which is the first urban federal park in Canada. And we have a lease, a sublease of the park in 70 Kanak Avenue. If you're Canadian, it doesn't get more Kanak than 70 Kanak. No, it's a very Canadian expression for those of you that are not Canadians. Kanak is a Canadian. It's a slang for Canadian. Can you hear me okay, Ozan or somebody? Am I being heard okay? Perfect. And the second location of our climate solutions parks that we're building is in 144 Fox Street, Penetanwishing, Ontario. And we will build a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and as many as we can create as life is given to us by the Creator. And hopefully we'll live a long life to solve this very big problem of the climate emergency. So architecture is one of the key disciplines that informs what we do, and that's why we're here. So I'm not gonna create a long, extensive list of remarks. You know that there is a climate emergency. You know that if we don't act decisively, it will become climate chaos, which is what has to be averted at all costs. And maybe you don't know this, but I will share it with you. The climate emergency is caused by humans, and therefore humans can stop the climate emergency simply by taking action. It is not caused by asteroids, it's not caused by solar whatever. It is caused by the burning of fossil fuels and the destruction of habitat that currently stores carbon safely. So therefore, climate solutions are related to that. And architecture, like many disciplines, need to be reformed completely. At the moment, architecture often is a culprit rather than a solution of the climate emergency and the other 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that interest us here. The one that interests me most is ending poverty, because without poverty, we will be better people. It is a scourge in the human race that in a world of plenty, we allow people to go hungry. And that's why I'm here today in a farm in 70 Kanak Avenue, where we grow food locally, a climate solution, UN SDG 1 solution and a solution for the local community that now can come and eat here healthy food that is grown in a permaculture way. I will not take too much more of your time other than saying that my colleagues that are here are doing very good work, and I hope they had the chance to speak a little bit about the Archi Kids project. If not, I hope they get time to talk, and for that I should probably complete my remarks. And the last thing to say to you is I put them in the chat box. There's a little movie about the Climate Solutions Park, and most importantly, a link where you can refer college and university students so they can be part of what we're doing and actually get paid to do so and get a scholarship to do so. The only prerequisite is that it's only open for college and university students that are either Canadian, permanent residents, or refugees. I apologize that at the moment we cannot hire international students, but we are actively seeking sponsorships that would allow us to incorporate international students from anywhere in the world. Our world needs climate solutions parks and a workforce capable of building them and designing them using new architectural techniques that lead towards prosperity and sustainability. And those are my remarks for you today. If you want to get in touch with me, please contact Ozan. He knows how to find me. And other than that, I wish you a great rest of your day. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Jose, for your inspiring remarks as usual, and reminding us that climate change is, after all, a human-made problem. So humans will have to find a solution for that in engaging everybody here. Now that we have completed the round of speakers, and we have heard very many remarks linking up SDG 11, SDGs, the children, and cities. So what I'm wondering is that before we have a few minutes for discussion, I'm just wondering any of the speakers would like to add on to the comments or react to the comments that have been made by the speakers. I will leave the floor to the speakers first before I leave, before I request the rest of the participants to speak. Yeah, I'm just wondering. What I'm saying is that if any of you, 6 speakers that have spoken so far, has additional comments based on what you have heard so far. So the floor is to all of you. Any comments from, yeah? I think, was it Taylor was nodding her head? Do you have some comment? Yeah.
Oh, no comment here. Thank you, though.
Okay. Others? I'm just wondering, after having heard Christine's presentation and Kim's presentation, what do you think? How do you think we could possibly link up make the virtual reality into reality? Do you have any comments, Kim or Christine? Who wants to go first?
I can say a couple of things. I found it really interesting how you showed how you walk around in the city as well. One of the things that we are doing in NNT Science Lab, we're building quite a huge lab. It's 1,000 square meters, and it's a lot of different labs that we take from the different universities. And one of the things that we also are doing here is also making a sensor lab. So everything that you can measure from the body is quite small devices. Is really taking up, and it can be indirectly measuring your cortisol levels if it goes up and down, or so you have all this kind of variety, and linking that up to AI, you also can really get like and there I got the inspired creativity by you, Christine, around also the map, so you can really see how it changes with the city. I think that could be. I think we can have an interesting talk around that, Christine.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, thank
Definitely.
you.
Definitely. I was just totally like impressed by what you were saying, because in fact, one of the things that this app is doing, and it was through developing it that I found out that In fact, in some place in town, we walk fast and we don't even realize. So not only does it tell us how we feel, but it also, when we start looking at it, it has the speed, how fast we walk without even realizing, you know. So there are areas in the city that hinder our ability to exercise our, you know, our enjoyment, an area that pushes out, or other that retain us. So how do we actually get even those type of information? And I think that those sensors were actually the next level of this, you know, where we could actually have those, you know, measurable feelings into our body. Because what it does, it's really teaches us, it's come to contradict, you know, the known story of what we think, or how we, you know, how we have lived, and tell us even more about ourselves that we really didn't know. I think that this is really a level where human is looking into human as basically understanding who we are, to love us with all of our flaws, so that we could love the environment. It's really a share, you know, something that is still connected. And I think that I was thinking, I just look you up, Kim, on LinkedIn, and I was like, I think there's a conversation we need to have. So I'm really pleased that you said the same thing.
Great. So we're starting a conversation from now on. Thanks again. Before I request Suzanne Derval to speak, I just want to find out from Laila or Homan if they have any comments from what they have heard so far. Laila?
Definitely, we always thinking about how to, as Human explained in his presentation, how to use a city as a classroom for kids. So these apps, these are a really good platform to involve kids. I'm looking forward for kids-friendly version of those things, but definitely we can connect those to our tours, our live classrooms, like City as a platform for our educational and awareness program. Definitely. Looking forward to talk to you both.
Thank you. Oman, do you have any comments on the general or the presentation so far? He possibly is not around. Then, yeah, but before Veronica, may I request Suzanne to say a few words, please. Suzanne Derval.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Suzanne Derval. I'm from Sweden, and I'm co-director of UIA Architecture and Children Work Program, and that's a worldwide network for architects working with built environment education. And we are very interested in the SDG, of course, and I'm very happy to be invited. And I forward the invitation, and I'm very happy to have Veronica Zambrano Morales and Menna El Husseini. Veronica is from Mexico and Menna El Husseini is from Egypt. So I have two representatives from our work program with me today, with a very short time before since the invitation. And we are quite active, and we are networking and telling each other what we do in different countries, and we can help each other between continents how to work with built environment education. And we have Golden Cubes Awards that we award very good examples of built environment education for children every third year when the UIA have a congress, and the next congress will be in Copenhagen 2023 in July. So I can send, I cannot chat, I don't know why in this link, but I can send the links to Osan, and perhaps you can send them to the participants in this work roundtable. So I will invite you all, and I think the digital thing that Christine told about would be perfect for, we have audiovisual part that you can participate, and perhaps you would be awarded because we have so many countries participating, and we have a YouTube presentation of the Golden Cubes Awards that you can see, and you will have links for it so you can hear about what you can do. And if your country is not participating in the Golden Cubes Awards, it's still time to tell me and Heba Safei Eldin from Egypt, we are co-directors, that you would like to participate. So it's I just wanted to tell that and say that I'm very happy I was invited to this, and I hope it will deepen our cooperation between even more countries. I think we have 30 countries by now that are participating. Thank you.
Susan. Tack så mycket. Because I'm aware that UAE has an extensive program. You even have the number of activities already been done. I'm aware of that. That's why I'm sorry that we sent the invitation pretty late. And even though we send it to all your members, I mean, it's amazing that you have nearly 50 members where in different countries, which is fascinating indeed. That's also, I'm happy that Veronica is here as well. May I then request her to say a few words, please? Yeah, bienvenido.
So Suzanne, thank you so much. In fact, I'm planning to go to that conference, and I have been talking to, I'm working on the presentation right now. But I'm glad to know that there are some components that I didn't know, and I would like to connect with you so that with my student. In fact, I was told that there's a section of education, and I'm right now developing with my school a proposal to take students there. So I'm crossing my finger.
Thank you.
But I'll be there.
Thank you. Veronica, the floor is yours now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Susan. It's glad to see you. Thanks for the invitation. Well, I am Secretary of Management of the Professional Promotion of the Federation of Association of the Architects of the Mexico Republic. And it's a good idea, this pavilion, and we need to be careful with the concept to the accessibility. When we think about the children, we think of the action carried out by children, such as saying, hearing, walking, dancing, or other activities. However, as architects, we need to think that the environment is not only the space, is not only architecture. For the children, their environment is a space where they live with the people they love, but their environment is also colors, the smell, the textures, the sounds. This is important for the children's. And when I listen to Matthew Norris, that the environment is connected to their culture. It's important, the culture in the child's, and it's important to consider it in the project. And it's good. All the proposal is good, and it's nice to see you, to be here. Thanks very much for the invited.
Thank you once again. As Reza said, pavilion is yours. Pavilion is ours. In the final analysis, the pavilion is yours. So what I'm saying is that it's an open space. It's a possibility for interacting, implementing programs, and jointly working together. So because I think all of us coming from different points of views and different continents and cultures, as you say, the possibility is to how do we make it global, since SDGs are global as well, yeah? So where Toronto is only a base in that context, actually, it's a good occasion that we have met today and carried this discussion forward. So we have 7 minutes left. So may I then, if there are 1 or 2 comments, then I would like to sum up this meeting before the closure of that the session that we have. Yeah. Any other special comments? Any comments from participants? Anyone else? Kamran is around, or what about Egyptian representative? She left, yeah? Oh, Kim has raised his hands, yeah, Kim.
Yeah, I just want to mention that if someone is interested in trying the SDG prototype that we made for the schools, please be in contact and we will figure something out of how you can test it also. We have it in Norwegian and we have it in English. So if that language is fitting, it's possible. Just being in contact. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So I see about 8 hands are raised now. Is that so, Ozan? Then Mena, what is something?
Yes, thank you so much, Susan, for the announcement for the Golden Cubes, and it's really very interesting. And also, I wanted to share with you that we will be launching ARC-AF, Architecture for Children in Africa, in October on the day of World Architecture. So I was, just trying to collect the more organized info so that we can share with the group. And of course, thank you for the invitation and for connecting me to ArchiKids, because I think it's very important to share the knowledge of how to get children engaged and what are the tools and the challenges so that they actually can build by themselves. Not only to be offered architecture for them. So again, I would have really enjoyed to share with you more tactical plans, but I only received the invitation yesterday. So hopefully next time we can have more insights to share with you all. Thank you so much.
Marhaba, Mena. Thanks again. Thank you for joining us indeed. Now we have Dr. Aya El-Khouly.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi.
Yes, please.
I'm very glad to be there. Thank you, Mena, for telling me about the event again. I'm Aya El-Khouly. I'm from Egypt too, and I'm working as a community development expert specialized in child-friendly cities and applying the sustainable development goals and the child-friendliness to have more qualitative urbanism. So what I would like to ask for, if you could make the contacts, all the attendees contact each other in some way or another. Can we share contacts or something? As I see, as you have just said, that there are almost 50 activists working in different regions and different types of work with child and sustainable development goals.
Yeah.
This would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So I think that ends the discussion part of it. As far as I don't see any other further hands. So if we may want to sum up, it's very difficult to sum up this very interesting discussion. So what we have heard is that support the development of ArchiKids is Urban SDGs program. Urban Economy Forum is partnering with ArchiKids. This partnership aims to build a global community. That's why we are here. And we also heard that there are examples, like for example, the children's charter process in British Columbia, and also the question of SDGs, how much sustainable consumption and production we need to be having. That is what we heard from Echeverria, for example. And the psychogeography, as an example, was mentioned by Christine, and the whole question of urban emotions. That is something that come into the picture of our discussion, which I think is quite important. And one of the main initiatives that will be started by the Urban SDG Kids Awareness Program is a question of things like pop-up stations was mentioned and how it will be implemented. I think it will be possibly in a few weeks' time, a few months' time. We hope that these stations will come into fruition very soon. And we also were made aware that we need to have young people participating in these kind of discussions and meetings, and the need for linking up with greater networks like the Union of International Architects was mentioned, which is an important partner for us globally, and how we work in that context also. Nationally in Canada, British Columbia, the indigenous communities talked about one important issue that we did not really talk about is that we cannot talk about urban spaces without talking about houses. Homelessness is a major issue that's discussed. How within the ArchiKids program, how we can address this in a way that can raise the awareness of policymakers. If children tell the grown-ups who don't listen to other people, I think that's a way of trying to see how we can indeed create new activities. Like there's an opportunity for us to exchange examples, and so what we see is that create an international and national cohesion to raise kids and youth awareness. That's one of the main goals that we agreed on here, and increase the level of transforming urban lifestyle. Echeverry Jose mentioned about the need for transforming urban lifestyle because of climate change. And we need to have collaborative activities, local governments, like the British Columbia was mentioned, Egypt was mentioned, Cairo was mentioned in this context. And it also says that we have to look at SDGs together, create the connection between SDG 11 and other SDGs. How do we work on that? So what is important here is, with Canada being a front runner SDG program, we have to collaborate, enrich the dialogue between countries, as well as creating an international collaboration regarding kids awareness, a platform to connect professionals and children. It's not really a question of how children will teach, how grown-ups will teach children, how grown-ups can learn from children. So it's kind of a mutual process. I think it has been exemplary. So this second, what shall I say, roundtable has added value to the first one in what shall I say, action-oriented way. So this discussion, I hope when we meet next time, we can present concrete examples internationally in this context. So may I then request Reza Purvaziri to say a few concluding remarks. Before that, if
Christian,
yeah,
Reza left the chat. He mentioned during the chat that he had to go.
Okay, so which means that Laila would like to conclude this session.
Thanks everyone for joining. We are looking forward to connecting with you in an active way and defining our next step, collaborating in our programming and project. I put my contact here. Ozan, I have all of us contacts, and he can quickly connect everyone to us. And Panta, do you want to add any comment here? Or I think Krishnan, you said everything. Thank you so much, and thanks for moderating the session.
Thanks again for everybody to be here, indeed, yeah, and spending your time. I think we have enriched our minds, I suppose, at least mine. I've learned a lot from this discussion, and we'll meet again very soon, and keep communicating. Yeah, thanks again, and yeah, hasta la próxima.